Poor Bernie had a heart attack. Did you hear about it? Bernie had a heart attack. His name's Bernie. Oh, I met Bernie. You know what I meant. Bernie had a heart attack. That's sad. I hope he'd be okay. He need to just stop. He's going to quit now, right? All right, good. Back to business. Girl, I'm going to watch Rachel Maddow show and have a little cake with Chris Matthews. These little progressives are so cute, aren't they? Wanting to change things. They want to change things. Aren't they funny? Wanting money out of politics. What good would politics be without money, child? Then Bernie came back after the heart attack, the stents put in. They're like, oh, he came back. He came back. Yeah. Let's just go do a little victory lap. Just let him do that. That's for his ego. Let him feel good about himself. You know, he got to feel good about himself. Let him do that. It's probably part of his doctor's regimen to make him feel good and positive about himself. Drawing bigger crowds than he ever drew. Fundraising records. Getting more popular than ever. Catching up to Joe Biden. Ah! So all this is happening, and it's only getting worse now that Bernie Sanders is running away with this thing. And while that is happening, some of them have been unable to contain themselves. Some of them have said things publicly that are horrific, which brings me to our lead story tonight. So here goes Chris Matthews trying his best to end his career.
What is going on here, and is this any way to pick a nominee?
Well, I don't think so, but it is the way we're picking this one, and it looks like Bernie Sanders is hard to beat right now. I'm with Carville all the way in terms of the dangers of what lies ahead in November. I'm very much aware of them. They're sitting on so much Oppo research on Bernie, what he said in the past about world affairs, how far left he is. I'm not sure how far left he is, but they're going to make the most of that in terms of world politics. They're going to kill him. But I think it's a little late to stop him, and I think that's the problem. By the way, if you look at the pattern, it's dynamic. Bernie won the popular vote in Iowa. He won it again in New Hampshire. It looks like he's going to win it here when they finally get a vote. Bernie's been winning consistently, and I think it's mathematically understandable. Every time we poll, every time Steve and everybody polls, 2/3 of the Democratic vote, 2/3 of people who call themselves Democrats are either liberal or very liberal. All Bernie ever had to do, and he's done it beautifully, is get a majority of that, and he's up to the mid-30s. If you get half of 67, you're into the mid-30s, and that's where he's gotten it a little better. Biden, his only prayer was to consolidate the third of the vote that's moderate and conservative. And he got nowhere near clearing that field, nowhere near. That's split up 4 ways now. And so with new people coming in, DeVal Patrick came in, he didn't make it. Bloomberg is in, he's probably going to survive a bit longer because of his money. But that field wasn't cleared. The only way Biden could win in that 1/3 of the vote that's either moderate or conservative is to sweep it. He got nowhere near. Bernie, on the other hand, did his job. He got more than a majority of that 67%. That is the name of the game. It is pretty much over unless that changes. I was reading last night, Brian, I know you're a history guy too. I'm reading last night about the fall of France in the summer of 1940. And the general, Renault, calls up Churchill and says, it's over. And Churchill said, how can it be? You got the greatest army in Europe. How can it be over? He said, it's over. So I had that suppressed feeling. I can't be as wild as Carville, but he is damn smart. And I think he's damn right on this one. Joy.
Let's make one thing certain, crystal clear. James Carville may be smart, but he's also a political hack. And we also want to make something clear here that it's never fun. It's never a good idea. Never something you should do, kids, which is compare a Jewish person winning an election to that of Nazis. It's probably not a good idea. Probably not something we should do. Especially, even underscoring, because it's bad form to begin with. But it's even worse when that person lost large members of their family to the concentration camps, to the Holocaust. Which Chris Matthews full and well knows because he's interviewed Bernie Sanders a number of times. And if a hack like Carvel or a hack like Matthews wants to talk, there's all types of analogies you could use. You could use the word Titanic for what's happening to the Democratic Party. You could have went the other way. But no, Chris Matthews thought it acceptable to compare Bernie Sanders, who's not overtaking, not bombing, not infiltrating, not... the analogy made no sense at all. But it was bad form, it was rude. And from that was the hashtag Fire Chris Matthews. Fire Chris Matthews, fire Chris Matthews. Roo, 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 roo. The whole internet was bombarding. It was trending on Twitter for several hours. Pissed off Bernie supporters all lined up, wanting Chris Matthews to be gone. And it wasn't just the fact that what Chris Matthews said was so callous and so rude and so insensitive and anti-Semitic. It was also just plain bad. And if this is anything like what he's going to be as we go further and further, I mean, he's losing it now. That was just Nevada. Imagine what he's going to do after Super Tuesday. He might start saying, like Bernie Sanders is like a slave keeper, slave catcher. Look at all the black votes he got in South Carolina. It's like he caught them like slaves, like he ran out. And there's just so many places that Chris Matthews can go at this point. How much more disgusting can he get? How many more people can he piss off? What else can he do? Bernie wins the women vote. And Chris Matthews, what else can he say? He's got to be more offensive. He has to keep ratcheting it up. You get what I'm saying? What's he going to say? It's like Bernie Sanders has a harem. It's like he's running a sex ring. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's running a sex ring, and his operation's like a sex ring. Now they're like the Super Bowl when they bring in all the trafficking, the female trafficking, and the human trafficking, the poor women who have been... And this is what they do. They bring in the prison, and you know you're a historian of the... Well, you may listen to this and say, oh, Tim, it's benign. It's not that serious an allegation to make. Of course, it's an unfortunate comparison, but hell, it's only you liberals, you goofy liberals, and you goofy independent media folks. That's what it is, you goofy independent media folks who are making something out of nothing. You and your silly hashtags, and you and your activist on Twitter, your Twitax, Twactivist. It's a good one, Twactivist. But there were a few people who had access to the airwaves, who happened to be on corporate media, who spoke up, who said things.
Last night was a historic win that I think a lot of us are still struggling to understand. It's not historic only because Bernie Sanders is now decisively proving that he can win in milk-white America and in the emerging superpower of color that we are becoming. Something is happening in America right now that actually does not fit our mental models. It certainly doesn't fit the mental models of a lot of people on TV. It doesn't fit the mental models of a lot of people in the parties. It doesn't fit our cultural mental models. You have someone talking about, in a way we have not heard, genuine, deeper democracy, popular movements, human equality in a meaningful way, and a politics of love in the tradition of Dr. King, and winning elections in America, in the United States of America. And I just have to say, and I've been encouraged watching you on air talk about your own rethinking of things, which I think we all have to do to be in this work. I think this is a wake-up moment for the American power establishment. From Michael Bloomberg to those of us in the media, to the Democratic Party, to donors, to CEOs, many in this establishment are behaving, in my view, as they face the prospect of a Bernie Sanders nomination, like out-of-touch aristocrats in a dying aristocracy. Just sort of, how do we stop this? How do we block this? And there is no curiosity. Why is this happening? What is going on in the lives of my fellow citizens in this country? They may be voting for something that I find it so hard to understand. What is happening? What is happening? This is a moment for curiosity in America. I think about this network, which I love, which you love, and I think we have to look within also. Why is a lobbyist for Uber and Mark Zuckerberg on the air many nights explaining a political revolution to us? Why is Chris Matthews on this air talking about the victory of Bernie Sanders, who had kin murdered in the Holocaust, and analogizing it to the Nazi conquest of France? The people who are stuck in an old way of thinking, in 20th century frameworks, in gulag thinking, are missing what is going on. It is time for all of us to step up, rethink, and understand the dawn of what may be, frankly, a new era in American life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time, Johnson. We back? Yeah, it's time for us to wake up. You might want to start with Joy Reid, because that heifer be asleep. Oh, she's been asleep for a long time. Oh, she's been sleeping. It's not some weird thing that like overtook people and slowly slipped into this world of elitism and dogma of oligarchs or these under the hypnosis of money. It is literally the money, Johnson. Now is right. He's correct here to say these people need to get with it, but they're not with it for a reason. It's a choice, Johnson. They chose. It's not just Chris Matthews, but of course it's Chris Matthews, but there's a lot of others as well who have gone so far from toting the line to pulling the horse. Forget the cart. The cart's still back there. They're pulling the horse. They're in front of the horse. So when we start talking about how we need to change the mindset of these people, let's start with changing the job status. Yeah, let's get rid of them. Yeah, let's get rid of them. Let's get in some fresh blood. Some people that actually believe in a political revolution might be a start. These people are so fabricated and formulated to the current system, they can't be re-educated. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all for redemption. But redeem your ass at home. I don't care to watch Joy Reid pretend to have an epiphany. The only epiphany that she's going to have is that she needs to keep a job. What she's doing now, when she's making a little slight 90-degree turn. It's not fooling us, Johnson. So Anand did a good job here of explaining what's happening as the browning of America takes place. There's some people not ready for it. But then it would sound like we're talking about Trump. Well, I think I dare tell you that the political revolution isn't so much about Browning or about the minorities making a speech or making a stand. It's about people banding together and realizing that economics matter. And just like Trump ran with a right-wing populist note, Bernie's running with a left-wing populist note. And they're both resonating because it's populist. Pocketbook. People's actual lives. Well, be that as it may, guys. Be that as it may. The heat was under the butt cheeks of Chris Matthews to the point where he couldn't just ignore it. Like his job may have been on the line. He may have been facing the literal gallows. What would he do now after that if he lost his job? So he had to slank his lethargic, with a litany of cliche crap garbage about how bad Bernie Sanders is, with a stereotypical whatever wackiness, and come out here and actually give a halfway apology. Halfway. Sort of, kind of.
Before getting into tonight's news, I want to say something quite important and personal. As I watched the one-sided results of Saturday's Democratic caucus in Nevada, I reached for an historical analogy and used a bad one. I was wrong to refer to an event from the last days, or actually the first days of World War II. Senator Sanders, I'm sorry for comparing anything from that tragic era in which so many suffered, especially the Jewish people, to an electoral result in which you were the well-deserved winner. This is going to be a hard-fought, heated campaign of ideas. In the days and weeks and months ahead, I will strive to do a better job myself of elevating the political discussion. Congratulations, by the way, to you, Senator Sanders, and to your supporters on a tremendous win down in Nevada. Before getting into tonight's news, I want to say something quite important and personal. As I watched the one-sided results of Saturday's Democratic caucus in Nevada, I reached for...
Just so we can be very clear here, and everybody understands what we're talking about. Why was your analogy bad? Yeah, what made it bad? Oh, because it compared a peaceful political campaign to an invasion of Nazis that killed scores and scores of people, right? Millions of people. Concentration camps did starve to death, medical experiments, the whole nine, everything, disgusting. You did that comparison. And not only was this offensive to Jewish people, it's offensive to people who lost actual family members that Bernie Sanders is one of those people. Why was that left out of your apology, Chris Matthews? You directly offended someone, not generally speaking. Like, this is not a general. You knew it when you said it. You know, no one harps on the fact that Bernie Sanders is going to be, and I say it's going to be the first Jewish president of this United States. That's going to happen. And with this going to come a lot of anti-Semitic garbage. So for those people out there who you know, whether you're a casual observer of this whole nonsense that's going on with these corporate raiders realizing they have to pay their fair share of taxes and that their henchmen or their spokesmodels like Chris Matthews who come out in their stilettos every night to tell us what they want us to know. The fact of the matter is that Bernie Sanders will take this, and they're going to do everything they can to throw crap against him. And this is what's happening with Chris Matthews, with these diatribes about analogies of World War II. It's going to be more of this. But we should all band together and support knocking these people out, getting rid of these people. These people need to go away. This needs to end. If your guy can't beat him on the playing field, he can't beat him. And if your guy can't run on this record, he shouldn't have ran. And if you have to aim so low as to hit Bernie with anti-Semitic tropes, well, that just proves that you're a loser beyond redemption, at least for now.